But that moves us on quite nicely to the weekend, because we will have some rotation this weekend. Maybe, probably. Let's see how it goes. But we're away to Tannadice, which has been a happy hunting ground for the Hoops over the years. But Dundee United are close to Rangers this year, so it's not a game to take lightly. It's not a team to take lightly. And at this point in the stream, me and McBride, we love to do our best to put ourselves in Brendan Rodgers' shoes and try and work out who is going to actually make the team. Who is he actually going to select? And we don't have a Dundee United predicted 11 yet to marry up against it. It won't really slow us down too much. But that's it. I've not got Forrest on this, right? Because I've seen Forrest wearing a protective boot after the final. So I think Forrest is out at the moment, isn't he?
I didn't notice that. I was too busy looking at all the memes and everything on Twitter. So I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, I think Johnson's the main one. Like, I think he'll be struggling. I think you're pretty likely see Ralston in this game. He definitely confirmed in the article that he played through injury in the final, and then he was struggling and he had to come off. So yeah, the only thing I would say has been a week in between, and a lot of those guys played the final, maybe played the full shebang and the penalties and everything, and Johnson only played 70 minutes. So yeah, but I think you'll probably see Ralston, even if Johnson's fit, maybe a bit of caution with him with so many games coming up.
Yeah. Confirmation. I wasn't tripping. I didn't imagine that Forrest was in the boot on after the game. Because I remember the chat was like, Forrest was on penalty 6, but he actually had this mad injury, where he's been clattered, maybe bruised a muscle, pulled a ligament or something. I actually just wanted to go and check the upcoming fixtures when you said that, McBride, because we're playing Dundee on Sunday, Dundee United, which is the 22nd. 4 days later, Boxing Day, we're at home to Motherwell. 3 days later, we're at home at St Johnstone. And then 4 days later, away to Ibrox. And then 3 days later, at home at St Mirren. And then 3 days later, Dundee United. And then 3 days later, Ross County.
Mental.
So this could, it's mental. Yeah, is the word for it. So I could definitely see Johnson getting rested for this if he was carrying an injury into that game and got clattered. So I actually thought Ralston and Bernardo, Ralston and Engels coming on at the same time. I would have really rather Rodgers avoided that. I thought Bernardo should have stayed on for another 5 or 10 minutes, just because they were both on the same side of the pitch. And you felt that at that point, they put Yilmaz on, they made a few subs. They felt like they started pushing down their left, down our right. And with Engels and Ralston both coming in cold, as it were, felt like that gave them a wee opening for 5 minutes in the game. But yeah, I can see Ralston starting this former club as well. He was on loan at Dundee United. Could be in for a goal in this one, the Birkie. He loves it. Valley or Taylor is a bit of a question for this. I think this is a Taylor match, but because there is rotation afoot, I wouldn't rule out somebody like Valley maybe starting this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one as well. I mean, he did start at Aberdeen too, so I wouldn't rule him out starting away. There's a lot of home games coming up, and I'm just thinking back to those teams that started at home. So you had, like, obviously Luke McCowan playing some of those games, etc. as well. So I think maybe, especially if Johnson's out, I think you'll see Ralston, CCV, Trusty, and Taylor. And then I think in the Motherwell game, you'll likely see Scales and probably Valley in that game, because it's a home game and you're expected to dominate the ball a bit more. And as you say, you've got to give respect to Dundee United. It's not about, we've won a trophy and we're 11 points clear. You have to keep up the momentum now and keep winning. So yeah, assuming that Trusty never come off for an injury, I think it was just pretty tactical based in that game. I think that Trusty started nearly all the away games recently, so I would expect what you've got on the screen there for the back.
And I think, like, with Trusty getting subbed at halftime for Scales like that, I think he will start the next game because of that. Similar to with Vickers when he gave away the goal against
Bruges.
Bruges, yeah. Bruges. I felt like he would be rotated, but then because that happened, Rodgers kept him in. I feel like Trusty will come into this game because he got subbed at halftime as like a public kind of vote of confidence. It's not like Trusty's been bombed. It was just in that moment. Yeah. That was the move to make, and that's the way he done it. So yeah, I think this will be the defence. And again, Tannadice isn't the biggest pitch in the world. Taylor likes to get on the ball, and his kind of style of play and what he likes to do will probably be quite useful in that sort of game. Somebody's also mentioning that Hatate was hobbling around at the end of the game. He couldn't walk. He had You know, Tati's done this journey, McBride, and we've seen it where he was a 60, 70-minute player for like 2.5 seasons. And over the last season and a half, he's really became a 90-minute player when we need him to be. But 120 minutes is a totally different hurdle altogether, you know. So I don't really think he was like injured or anything. I just think it was like absolutely he was maxed out, couldn't walk, you know, maybe getting some cramp and some pools and stuff. I don't think you rested Tati for this game necessarily, but I've got two angles here. I thought something looked wrong.
I think Hatate will start because he did start against Aberdeen. If you remember, he was left on against Aberdeen, and guess what? He came up with that bit of magic, and he scored. And I was even like saying, "Oh, he's been rotten for the first half," and I thought he was poor against Dynamo Zagreb as well. But he came up with that moment of magic. So I think you'll probably see something along the lines of McGregor, Bernardo, and Hatate, then with rotation, and then you'll likely see Engels and McCowan coming in then for the home game against Motherwell. And again, with the other games in mind, if we do get any of those situations where we're comfortable, you'll probably then do a bit of rotation and start. Maybe you'll have the odd game where McGregor comes off at 70 or whatever, because you know he's not getting any younger, and playing every 3 days for the next 3 weeks or whatever is not going to be sort of an easy task from that point of view. So it'll be bearing in mind we've got some big games coming up. For example, the game at Ibrox, but it's nice to have some reasonably good home fixtures as well, because I think then you can sort of prioritise the away games and make sure you've got that sort of full 11 out as far as you see the best 11 that starts for those, and then you can keep other people happy. You can say, all right, you'll get 20 minutes today, but you will start on Saturday and all that sort of stuff. And everybody's, you seen the end of the cup final, everybody was still delighted, so so there we go. Michelle said, why haven't we seen training photos this week? Because Sunday game, Celtic will train on Saturday as well. So you might not get any tomorrow. They'll be training on Saturday too. So it'll be a nightmare for Sorare's point of view, because we've got the deadline tomorrow. But I'd imagine it'll be the same team as started the cup final, but we're Ralston in for Johnson.
I actually disagree on the Bernardo. I think Engels comes back in for this game. I think we're going to have a lot of the ball. I think Bernardo has been really useful in this run-in, but we've been playing like Aberdeen, we've been playing Champions League, we've been playing them in the final, where you need Bernardo to be a bit more that kind of, safer pair of hands, as it were, that guy that will just cover any gaps and be sensible, whereas Engels has been doing better off the bench the last few games, and I could see like we're going to dominate the ball in this game, and we're going to want to go and win the match rather than like having Bernardo help us defend the middle ground, as it were. I think Engels starts this for me personally.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of Dundee United, so that's probably to my detriment in this discussion. But yeah, I can see why you could do that. I mean, I guess you could have Engels start, and then you could afford to play Bernardo and McCowan maybe against Motherwell or whatever. So that's quite interesting. I'll need to go and change my Sorare teams now. Thanks, Quinny. Good point. I guess actually we might end up with a couple of changes, because although I said the cup final thing, it might be a good game for Ida as well. I don't know. I mean, Ida does tend a wee bit more to start the away games, so could be one where maybe Furuhashi sits on the bench, comes on, and then starts the game, or it could be vice versa as well. We've seen Ida starting a few of those home games at Celtic Park too, so just whatever way Brendan sees it for this game.
I think on twofolds, it's a horses for courses thing where Ida is kind of preferred in away games. Kyogo's done really well at Tannadice in the past, but if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah.
But Kyogo, again, didn't score in the final. It was maybe, again, unlucky with one or two of his chances, but we've been bemoaning him on this channel for the last few months that he needs to be fucking killing it. He needs to be scoring, and he's not. And I think like Ida has done more than enough at this point to get a start. I make you right. I think Ida does start this, but it's a very 50-50. Like, again, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyogo started this, and then maybe against your Motherwells or St Johnstone's, maybe Ida comes in for the start. But I could see him working Ida in this period here, Dundee United, Motherwell, St Johnstone, to play them away in the derby. Again, Kyogo does great at Ibrox. So it's definitely 50-50, isn't it, up front? I think Ida could be preferred quite easily. With there no being any Forest, like Yang's probably going to be on the bench, right? But I've also put Palma here just because, like, we're not going to be subbing off Ralston in the game. We're probably not going to sub any centre-backs. And then we probably still will make 5 subs at some point. So I think we maybe get a minute or two for Palma, but I think after Dyson's became Mr. League Cup, hat-trick in the semi-final, was the man of the final, and he's living his best life, and I think you want to keep him on form, fit and firing, so I think he starts.
Yeah.
And obviously, Kuhn over Yang, obviously.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think the Alistair Johnson's point of view, I mean, he's confirmed that. I think he even said in the article, like, we'll need to see about Sunday. So that suggests that he's struggling for Sunday again. He said that he wouldn't have started the cup final if it wasn't such an important game as well. So he was playing through injury. So you've got to expect he's going to miss some games soon. If he was playing through injury, he's got to be given a wee bit of time to recuperate. He does, come back quite quickly from things. He's made a stern and stuff, but yeah, the squad's going to have to be used, and yeah, that looks quite likely. I do agree with you in Engels as well. That's quite an interesting thought. So after we finish this, I'm going to go and change my prediction based on your expert tactics there. I agree. And he was good when he came on the final, obviously got the assist. And I think like he's had his sort of wee spell out the team, and he's shown enough when he came on, and he took a penalty as well, didn't he? Scored a penalty. Yep. So showed a bit of bottle there as well. So that was nice. So yeah, looks good.
I think the only thing, like, I do agree it's going to be Trusty Vickers, but again, because Engels will be on taking all the corners, Scales is a bit of a threat these days. Maybe Scales get a wee shout. I don't know, because he was the hero of the final. But I think, yeah, Trusty will probably get the vote of confidence. Like, you weren't dropped, mate. You were just tactically, we had to tweak it, kind of thing. So it's just when I think about Engels swinging in corners, I'm like, I wish Big Scales would be on the end of it. But if we've got Big Ida in there, then, maybe Ralston goes up for it. Who knows? But Vickers has got a goal or two this year. That could work as well. But I think this is a good one. And I think, like, the thing with Dundee United away, like, if I look up the head-to-head, it's been generally quite good over the last couple of years. The last time up there, let's look at away. Tannadice. 2-0, 9-0, 1-1, 3-0, 3-0 is the last 5 results. And then before that, a 0-0, a 1-0, 4-1, 3-1, 3-0. So very often we're scoring 3 goals or more. Very often. Dundee United, wow, how many games is that? Since 2015, in all competitions, 1, 2, 3. Dundee United have scored 3 goals at Tannadice against us since 2015.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 matches, that is, in all comps.
It's usually quite a tough place to go. I think that, I mean...
Not for us. There's been some draws there. There has been some draws there, fair.
I just mean, like, this season they've actually done relatively well too. And, I suppose it's quite a close league in a lot of ways outside Celtic as well, because bear in mind Rangers have dropped a lot of points as well. And it also depends if we want to play with, that high intensity, lot of energy type thing. We could come out flying after the cup final. Was Vickers hungover after he's putting 119 in the thing at the darts? It looks as if maybe been given a wee bit of leeway to let their hair down a wee bit as well. But rightly so, it's before Christmas. This huge run of games coming up. They'll maybe even be in, like, doing some form of training Christmas morning or something, because there's a game in Boxing Day. So I get that. So yeah, but I think that the reason I think that Trusty and Vickers and Taylor will start is because Johnson's likely going to be out, and I don't think he'll want to make too many changes in the defence away from home, unless he does see it as a high possession game and says, right, we'll play Scales and we'll bring Trusty back in. But I think most likely it'll be Trusty, and I agree with you in the midfield. And yeah, I think like Kuhn, Maeda, etc., unless there's any real issues that they're managing there, kind of pick themselves, particularly where Forrest's out. And would you really want to start with Palma up there? Nah, let's not talk about that. Let's get him away to the MLS or something. Like, good guy and all that, but suitable for the MLS. Aye, I think so.
And I don't think I can jinx this, because as I just showed on screen there, 15 games in the league, only 4 goals conceded. We are a clean sheet machine, and Dundee United, yeah, maybe they've been a wee bit good at home this year, but I think, we're on a tear. We normally end this stream, McBride, with some score predictions. I think off the back of the cup final, I feel week off, no midweek games for the boys, which is good for the ones that weren't, like, battered and bruised. of the aftermath of the cup final. I think this could be another one of those really good Tannadice games. And if I was to do a score prediction for this one, I'm going to stick to the clean sheet thing. I'm going to go for 3-0 on this one.
Yeah. I'll go 3-1. I think maybe it might be one where we do concede because we rode our luck against Hibs and we conceded a few goals against Rangers as well. So, I think with Dundee United doing well, we may well concede in this one, but I do fully expect that we'll win the game and then we'll make some changes. You'll see Luke McCowan and guys like that been a bit more prominent in the home games where they've all done very well, to be fair. So
Bat thinks Winks. It's a new name in the chat, by the way. So the chat's been on fire today. Fist bump to you. And he makes a good point about the weather, actually. It could play a bit of a factor in terms of maybe not leveling the game, but maybe just taking a bit of like fire out of it, and just kind of dampens the whole kind of tempo of the game and all that kind of stuff. So I'm with you on that.
Agree with that, yeah.
I think there was something else. Oh, yeah. Like I say, guys, there's been a bunch of you joining us live today. The chat has been on fire. There's about 60, 70 of you on YouTube right now. Only 21 likes. Guys, come on. If you've not had a good time with us tonight, come on. Hit the like button and let YouTube know that this is a good channel full of good guys, and they'll find other Celtic fans for us to come and join in the chat. And next week when we're back at it, not at Dens. I know it's not Dens, but mate, they're across the road. Tannadice. I didn't write it, but I think Swings did, It's the same place. Let's call a spade, But it helps the channel grow. It means we can get more fans into the chat as well. And, we can get stuck into it as we normally do. I did an extra live stream last week after, not the final, but it was another match. Forget what it was now. But we'll try and do some more live streams on the channel as we can. I'm going to be out of town for Christmas, Monday to Friday next week. So I don't know what we're going to do for content here on the channel next week, but I'll be recording like mad over the next 48 hours. And we'll maybe have just some like topical pieces maybe come out, like the stuff I've did before in international breaks, where we look at the left back situation, we look at the squad, maybe we look at the Champions League, maybe we look at Balakwisha's name's coming up again, maybe we look into left wingers, which is really you mentioned Palma there, of course, but that's kind of a hot topic for January when it comes around as well, because it looks like we're going to maybe going to qualify for the Champions League knockout round, and having more than one left mid would be handy, I think, because sod's law, somebody will get injured, won't they? So let's cover the bases and let's strengthen from a position of strength like we've been crying out for on this channel for the last couple of years.
Take Balakwisha in a heartbeat. And that's, again, they'll come back to Kieran Tierney, but there's loads of good young players out there. So, I wouldn't be too disappointed if this rumour calms down. We don't get Kieran Tierney, but we go and start signing guys like that. And we tried to sign Gustav Isaacson last summer, and he's doing very well now for Lazio, and he's fully in the team, playing very well in Serie A and things. So I think we're looking at the right type of players now. And, if we could add, I'm not bothered about seeing numbers. If we just add one good one, that would be absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what's kind of funny as well in this whole grand scheme? It looks like Lagerbielke is replaced proper at 20. He got a game last weekend in his position and did pretty well. And it's so funny that a guy Rangers signed has been replaced by Lagerbielke, who could have got a game for us, which is just hilarious, I think. But yeah, Balakwisha, the quote I seen was he needs to get fit first, and he's obviously the Belgian league is going to be taking a bit of a winter break over the next few weeks or whatever. So I think we're still going to wait for that proof in the pudding thing, which is maybe what Tierney had last night in the Carabao Cup, of him actually returning to fitness before we go for him. Roma are apparently interested as well as maybe one or two other clubs, but I think Balakwisha would be, if we're like he's the guy and we're waiting for him to get fit and then negotiate a deal, then I can get behind that, because football players are non-fungible. They're not exactly, you can just go get another left mid who's the exact same. If there's a guy that they want, get the guy you want. Don't get an alternative for a second best. So I can get behind that.
The funds are there. The funds are there. We know there's a really good chance of progression. You can't actually register and play in the last two games, as you pointed out. So that was a great spot. But you can strengthen ahead of the playoffs, hopefully, and that we've actually accrued a bit of money by getting wins and getting points and everything. That's added a bit of extra money, and we probably haven't budgeted for as much in the Champions League as well. So we'll need to get a new trophy room soon, because that's getting a bit overflowing with trophies. But
That's it.
That's not the biggest problem we have, is it? So.
And a bigger vault to keep all our cash in. Can't he spend it quick enough? As soon as we start making it and spending it, we make even more.
I'm sure Peter Lawwell and all those type of guys would have lots of solutions for not needing an actual bigger vault for the cash. But yeah, the trophy room is definitely a solution that's needed, I think, based on recent events, which is a good thing.
That's it. Thanks everyone that joined us tonight. If you are going to Tannadice or Dens Park, remember across the road, then have a good journey, travel well. We hope you enjoy the game, of course. And yeah, if you're watching this after we've been live, get those score predictions into the comment section. Get your receipts onto the internet so you can say you called the right score when we come back next week. As always, I've been Quinny. I'm joined by McBride. It's been a great one. Thanks everyone that's joined us. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail. Good evening, everybody. Hail, hail.
Good evening. And we'll see you next week, guys. On the hoops.
On the hoops.